this thing. But you know, these things happen like that. Well, you got to keep your eye on the bouncing ball if you're going to sing the lyrics. Really? How would you like to sing tonight? Or would you want to have a sing along, or do you wish to take up dancing? Incidentally speaking of, all right, it's getting a little out of hand here. All right, thank you, Joe. That's enough. Kind of hold it there. We don't have enough time to mess around. This is a Sears Roebuck catalog of the year, friend. We don't have time to mess around with those elegant end plates, you know, and little things like. Incidentally speaking of messing around, of course, I have reported from time to time on this slot here the various trends and movements in what could be called junk mail. It changes from time. Junk mail, by the way, for those of you who don't get it, I can't believe there's anybody listening tonight who doesn't get junk mail. I mean, but for those of you who get it, you probably noticed a growing opulence in junk mail. I'm saying that junk mail does no longer consist of mimeographed sheets, smudgy. I mean, it's really beautiful. I got one the other day that was offering me a complete set of coins showing various profiles of Benjamin Franklin. Now, I'm not necessarily a Benjamin Franklin fan, nor am I a coin fan, unless I really, I'm really up against it and I'm scratching and I have to buy a subway token, and there I am with a $40 bill. However, nevertheless, I was offered this, but it came to me in a folder that must have weighed in itself maybe 3/4 of a pound. Beautiful, fantastic folder. And on the outside it said, "Exclusive for you alone." It said, "Your eyes alone must peruse the enclosed exclusive important information, which is dated." It says, very important. Well, I figured it was a summons to the White House or something, the way it looked. It was a very elegant thing. It was the kind of thing that 100 years ago a guy would get if he was being summoned to the palace to talk it over with the king and maybe get appointed prime minister, that kind of thing. So I'm expecting such a letter any day. All of us are, expecting an important invitation almost any day. Aren't you, Joe? You never know. Right. The phone rings and it's Darryl Zanuck. Right. They've been thinking of doing the Janice story. The guy that never got accepted in the Klan and was never a godfather. But we're all like, this is what is known as hope springs eternal in the human breast. And generally, you open up the envelope, and it turns out to be an exclusive offer by Time Magazine for a lifetime subscription, only to a selected few people. They've decided that you're one of those selected few. That they're ready to shake loose. They figure that you're ripe now. It's time to squeeze. And, those are called sucker lists, you understand. And I've begun to believe that that's well named. As a matter of fact, the more junk mail you get, the more sucker lists you're on. Hence, it must follow the more evidence you've given to the world in general of being a sucker. I mean, guys that have never fallen for any flim-flam never get that stuff. It's the guy that once sent for the fruitcake that's made by a little grandma who lives outside of Odessa, Texas, that finally, you get on all the lists. And the other day, this friend of mine, and I'm sorry to admit it did not come to me, this friend of mine who's on every known sucker list, and he can't figure out why. He spent 4 years in a seminary studying religion. He's a very serious man. And he says, I don't understand where they got his name for this one. And he was shocked and chagrined. And he brought it in and showed it to me. And he says, doesn't this kind of thing sicken you? And I said, well, now let me take a look at it, Bob. And I took we were sitting in the chock full of nuts. And what I read is inspired. And for those of you who did not get this in your junk mail, I just want you to listen to this beautiful piece of prose. A little something romantic, Joe. The first disc I gave. No, the first one. No, Joe, that's not romantic. I was pointing to the machine of it. There you go. That's it. Here we go. Now this is the kind of music for the. That's it. Bring it up there for a moment, Joe. We have to establish it. It's called right. Now we fade it down. See. This is music to read a special kind of junk mail tool. And this is a magnificent piece of engraved literature that arrived in the mailbox of my friend, the ex-seminarian. And it's entitled, An Exclusive Invitation. Sample pornography from 8 of the world's great collections. Dear fellow collector, to the serious collector, pornography is exciting, healthy, and fun. It captures feelings of strength and youth, feelings of passion and endurance, feelings of fulfillment and peace. Feelings that are unique and personal. If you are already for such feelings, then imagine you've entered one of the finest bookshops located in the very best section of London or Paris or New York. You're greeted by the manager and his fashionable secretary, who leads you to an oak-paneled study reserved for very special collectors. While the girl sets out coffee and brandy, the manager brings forth the big red leather and gold embossed portfolios that are filled with rare books, illustrations, and photographs, and representative stills from files. Then he discreetly leaves, and the heavy door clicks shut behind him. During the next hour or so, nothing exists outside that little room. The noisy, pressuring world, with its annoyances and disappointments, fades utterly. You peruse the strong images of youth and desire that stir dear memories and suggest new possibilities. You pause only for occasional sips of brandy, until the girl interrupts with a shy smile and says, "May I fill your glass, sir?" For many years, I and my collector friends have been devoted to this delightful research, not only in London, Paris, and New York, but in Hamburg, Vienna, Berlin, Cannes, Amsterdam, fascinating Denmark, and many other cities all over the globe. And after each session, I took away at least 1 or 2 of the most unique and imaginative works. Many times I've had to goad the manager, an old friend, but a very shrewd businessman, until finally he admitted that, yes, he did have something else, very special, that had just come in. And since I was an old friend and an old customer, he'd show it to me. And so now is an opportunity to start your own priceless collection. Here is a collection of films, books, photographs rarely seen by the average individual. Yes, it is your turn now finally to become one of the world's great collectors. Send for our exclusive gold embossed catalog and a whole new vista of youth, of dreams and dear memories will open up before you like a new world, just waiting for an explorer, an imaginative explorer, an explorer just like you. Oh, that's enough, Joe. Thank you. Like the girl on the deodorant commercial says, no, thank you. That's just enough. That's just right. Now, isn't that the way to open up a nice session, reading bills out of your mailbox and suddenly realize that a whole new world. Now, wasn't that beautiful? That really was. And my friend, I can't understand why he was offended by that. And I said to him, I said, well, Bob, is this the first one you've gotten from these people? He says, well, it's the first one I've gotten from those people, but I've gotten maybe 300 or 400 others in the last couple of years. I can't understand why I'm on that list. And we sat and ate our hot dogs and drank our orange drink and finished off with a brownie. We couldn't quite figure it out. I've never been a domestic type. Are you born that way, Joe? Yeah, you're just not the right guy to ask. Certain guys, you're just not the right guy to ask. And I've really wondered about the domestic type. The guy that's born married, and the day he's born, he's got 4 kids. The kind, he's born with a mortgage that's 28 years in the paying. Some guys are born totally domestic. And there goes one now. He just ran out hurriedly when he heard what I was talking about. But no, I'm discussing the fact that some guys are born domestic. They're born with 3 kids, And other guys are totally the opposite. and guess what I am? But nevertheless, this one guy in a commercial, kind of gets me. He's got this kid. See, there's a certain kind of guy that carries a baby in one of these papoose carrying things. That's a very special type. He reads the New Yorker, and he's a reader of the. Well, he usually reads Atlantic Monthly and the Village Voice, and drives a small, economical foreign car, a sensible car, and he has things all over the back bumper that says "I brake for animals." Very righteously, he says, I hit them. I hit them things. Little things like, milk is good for you, it says. And he carries old, decayed, and fading stickers from old political campaigns. Like he's very proud of his old McGovern sticker, which is still on there, And if you peeled that off, you'd find his Adley, you'd find his Kennedy sticker, and under that would be his Adlai Stevenson sticker, see. And before that, of course, he was going to CCNY, so it didn't matter. But nevertheless, this type of guy, see, here he is. He's looking out, see, and out at me. This isn't a credit card commercial. And he says, well, I said, I find it invaluable whenever Martha and I travel. Of course, there's a certain guy that always travels with this girl. That's the domestic type. It's the kind that put their name out in front of their house. There's a certain kind of guy that puts his name out in front of the house, and it doesn't say Charles W. Smith. It doesn't say Esther Gutstop. What it says is the Murgatroyds. It's in script. The Murgatroyds live here. You've seen that. Or either it says Chet and Bill Murgatroyd. That's always good. So this is a domestic type, very special type. And and he's looking out of the TV screen. You've seen him, and he says, why, yes, Martha and I never without it. And you see this little kid. He says, why, we've already applied for one for Cyril. He'll probably be using his right away. He's applied for one for the kid. And I suspect that the time is not far off when there'll be the prenatal credit card, and it's got to come. Do you like that kind of guy though that puts a sign out in front of his lawn, Joe, that says the Murgatroyds? You've seen that thing. They usually have a cute farm type mailbox out in front with a cutout of some kind, a black cutout, that shows let's say a Revolutionary War type lady, with her big skirt. You've seen that. Haven't you seen that type? Nice crowd, yes. They're very nice. Of course, he drinks a little these days. But after all, it's a long trip back. 2, 3, they're not making gin as powerful as they used to. It takes 3 or 4 now. Yes. And you notice that she's getting very tense these days. And of course, it comes a lot of it. There's been a lot of trouble with the PTA lately, what with the showing the sex films to the second graders and all that, and of course there's all kinds of problems going on. So you can't really blame her, can you? No, naturally. And of course, what's been happening down at the brokerage house where Merrill works, it's no wonder he's getting a little nervous. Yes, he's been putting them down, and of course there was the crabgrass all summer, and what happened to the geraniums? Yes, that's right, and his hair. Yes. That's all. All these things, you have to have, let's say, understanding. That's all we ask for is understanding, friends. And when the little tyke comes along, after all, Martha's pregnant again, of course. She's she's so fertile these days. It must be there's something in the sun or something. Maybe they're putting something in the water. Can't figure it out. But, seriously, though, friends, I might as well try to be serious. George Ade, speaking of George Ade, you've heard me often do stuff on George Ade on the air, his fables and slang and all that. Well, just as a note of warning, I'm going to be doing an evening with George Ade. I'm going to be doing a little thing called Gene Shepard and an Evening with George Ade at the American Place Theater, which is a non-profit theater. We might as well do a non-profit spot. And I'm not getting a red nickel for it. I'm just doing it for the fun and thrill of doing it. That's right here in town. The American Place is on 46th Street. Right there, and all that Broadway shtick. It's on 46th near 6th, between 6th and Broad. Broad, you shouldn't use that phrase. That's a sexist phrase, yes. Absolutely. So use the entire term, Broadway. Right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Gloria, I didn't really mean it. I was referring to a street. And, I didn't name them streets, really. I know, yes, they're trying to change the name of, heaven's sakes, that there's a bill up before 3 states to change the name of a bird, the chickadee, which is obviously a sexist name. I mean, you can't use that phrase any longer. No way. And, and you realize, of course, that they're changing the names of a lot of birds now because they're sexist. Yes. Right. You know what they call the female, well, how can I say it without being sexist right there? So I'm not even going to refer to it. It's a very exotic bird with the big fan tail, bird with all the colored things. You can't even be sexist when you use his name. That's right. You're being sexist. So you don't mess around. I don't like to mess around with them things. Excuse me, I meant those things. Of course, I said them things with the malice of forethought because I want to make contact with the peoples. And it's not easy, really, basically. Like the other day, I was in Geno's. I drove, the hot dog joint and the hamburger joint. Yeah. No, we don't have a spot for him. No, we're not. This has nothing to do with a commercial. No way. And I'm not going to go into that. I just saw a guy in there stealing piccalilli. And I thought right away there, morality is declining so much today. And you know what was bad about it? This guy, now wait a minute, I'm going to tell you how rotten some people can be. I'm driving along, with this friend of mine, and we're going along this highway. And the guy pulls out. There's a guy pulls out ahead of us, and he just pulls out of a driveway. What's he pulling out of? You'll never guess. A McDonald's. Yeah, he pulls out of a McDonald's, and, he's wearing his little Ronald McDonald T-shirt and all that stuff, and he's in there, and he's laughing away. Typical little TV family crowd, and the kids are all in there yelling and hollering. And so they drive right out in front of us, like a typical TV family crowd. They cut us off. So we drove, there's some drivers you get behind, you're scared to even move around them, be careful. So he's up there weaving around, the kids are yelling, and he's having an argument with his wife. You can see the whole mess going on in the car, Well, we let him get ahead. And then all of a sudden, he pulls off, and just at that moment, my friend says, hey, I feel like a hamburger. Hey, there's a Geno's coming up there ahead. So at that point, this guy, he says, how about driving in? We got a hamburger. So I pulled off into the parking lot. And he was doing some work on a book or something he had in there. He was checking out stuff in the notebook. He says, you go in and get a couple of cheeseburgers. I'll wait. I said, okay. So I run in. And here's the guy. Now, wait a minute. You haven't heard how rotten some people can be. The guy that had just come out of McDonald's, and he's got his Ronald McDonald T-shirt and the whole bit, and he's got 17,000 kids in the car, and they're all eating McDonald's, and, they're eating Big Macs and stuff in there. And I see him, I says, this guy's a real piggeroony. I mean, he stopped at the Geno's. Well, I walked into the Geno's there, and I stand in line with the other, and I see this guy. What do you think he's doing? He's sneaking piccalilli. What happened was that halfway down the street, and one of the kids says, hey, Daddy, I wanted piccalilli on my relish other thing. And the dad said, why didn't you tell me when we were back there? Well, yeah, all right, shut up, will you? And then all of a sudden his wife, I can hear her say, will you stop talking like that to Howard, for heaven's sakes? He just wants Piccalilli. Oh, shut up! What did he say when I was back there? Now I'm in the traffic. What am I going to do? Well, you can stop and get him some. Where am I going? You drive back? This is a one-way street? Take 17 miles through the Interpass back again? Are you crazy? And then he gets an idea. There's Geno's ahead. Bum, ba-dum, bump. I don't have to go any further. People are so rotten. Oh, where does it go? Did you like that little skit? Isn't that a typical family skit? That's quite right. The kind of stuff, wouldn't you love to see commercials that were really like the way they are on commercials? Just the way life really is. Like, for example, commercials would have you believe that dogs don't eat dog food. They only eat special kinds of dog food. Every dog I've ever known not only eats the dog food, he will also eat the plate. If you let him go, he'll eat the rug. He'll wind up eating all the wallpaper, and probably work right on out and eat the welcome mat and continue right to the garage and eat the tires off your car. What is it with this? And every cat I've ever known would eat balsa wood fish if you give it to him. Doesn't make any difference. But that's all part of the TV world. Like, have you noticed there's these great little conversations going on recently in the TV world about toothpaste? Yes, there's one where the mailman, that's a kind of a touching little scene. The mailman comes along, seeing there's this nice lady out there waiting in front of the house, and he gives her an envelope that contains apparently a free sample of a toothpaste there, see? And he says, oh, hello, Mrs. Murgatroyd. This is your friendly mailman. You ought to see the friendly mailman we got here in Manhattan. Oh, he says, hello, Mrs. Murgatroyd. I'm your friendly mailman. And surprise, surprise, look what I have for you today. A free sample of a toothpaste. And he hands it to her. And she looks at, oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, wow. And he says, well, what's the matter, Mrs. Murgatroyd? She says, well, I think I'm going to stick to Ding Dong with fluorides added. I mean, after all, the family has used Ding Dong for years, and I'm not going to let these phonies sneak into the house. I'm sticking to Ding Dong. And at that point, the mailman says, well, what a coincidence. We're sticking to it, too. After all, you just can't go against success. And we like the way our cavity fighter fights cavities. Yes, we're sticking to Ding Dongs. And that nice little bucolic moment there. Everybody I know, just any time a sample comes in to the house, he uses it instantly. Right, Joe? Can you imagine him saying, hey, throw that out. We're going to stick to Ding Dong with the cavity fighters. Oh, no. I know one guy that makes sandwiches out of toothpaste. He loves it. But, of course, that's the way with the world today. Everybody is having these talks, and I feel left out. I really do. I mean, because I have been told in many an agency, what we want is a typical family situation. And, you go in, you read the copy, and it's a typical family situation. We want these to be real, recognizable, typical human beings. This is a commercial copy point all the time. But is it that I'm not a recognizable human being? In all my life, I have never had a heart-to-heart, man-to-man, woman-to-man, person-to-person, dog-to-man conversation regarding toothpaste. Have you ever talked your toothpaste problems over with, say, Mark, Joe? Never. Of course, yeah, that's right. And yet they're always having those nice conversations. And I think I'm going to start instituting that kind of thing into my life. Like I'm meeting this friend tonight after the show. We're going to have, a couple of drinkies maybe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up to the bar, see, and I'm going to give a typical, I'll give the 3-ring sign. How do you like that? I'll try the 3-ring sign on the bartender, see. Or maybe I'll come in and I'll go like this. What am I doing? Knock, knock for Knickerbocker. And at which point my friend is going to say, what the hell's the matter with you? And I'm going to say, well, and I'll hold the glass of beer up to the light, and I'll say, it's light, yet refreshing. And you know how they always do in commercials. And he'll say, yeah, and look at that thick, rich, lasting head. And then I'll hold it up once more, and I'll say, if you're having more than one, George, and, it's a typical little scene. And we're going to try that at Costello's and see how it works out. I like the one where the guys walk in into a car dealership. The beautiful little scenes are going on in those commercials, where he walks in and he can't believe the low price, which I have never yet once seen in any car dealership. It's always exactly the reverse. You know. But anyway, you always see these guys walking around and looking with great wonder, and the salesman who's wearing, these really pick 'em off the gas pipe rack Barney type high roll shirts, and he's got a big hairdo and all that stuff. And the guy says, "You mean to tell me that the seats come with it at that price?" And the guy says, "Yes, and that's not all. Just go ahead and take a look around. You're going to be pleasantly surprised." "Gee, look at the steering wheel. Does that come with it too?" "Yes, yes, that's all included in the price. Just keep looking around and convince yourself of the economy of this fantastic new Whoopie-mobile model." "Oh, well, it's got carpet on the floor. Look at that. You can't even see the metal down there. You mean the carpet comes with it?" "Yes, of course it does, sir. It comes. It's part of the actual basic price." "And the wheels. It's got 4 wheels. 4 wheels. Hey, Madge, it comes with 4 wheels at no extra price." "Yes, the 4 wheels are included." So, and then at that point, he turns right directly to you in the camera and says, "Contact your Whoopie-mobile dealer now and see how much you can save on the new 1975 model." And then a little thing comes out real quick. It says, "Dealer options exempted." Boop, 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 and it's gone. Not good in all territories. This offer is void in all 52 states of the Union except Hawaii. Boop. But nevertheless, I like those little moments. I think I'm gonna pull that out of dealers sometime. I'm just gonna walk into the dealership, see, and I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna look at the sticker price. They always say, "Look at the sticker." I look at the sticker price. I say, "Is this right? This sticker price here?" And the guy will say, "Yeah." You're expecting me? I'm gonna machine gun him. See, I can't believe the low price on this new Whoopie-mobile. Why, you can save endless amounts of dollars. That's only $6,742 less dealer service charges, less transportation, less taxes, less white walls, and less automatic transmission. I can't pass up that deal. That's the way to fight inflation. By George, save money. I'd love to try that. Just see how it would work. And who knows how far this could go. If we could get everybody out there in the audience to do these little things, walk around and squeeze the Charmin, for example. I think you're letting Mr. Whipple down, And by the way, I had a fantastic moment. I'm driving along the other day right out Route 22. See, I always go on Route 22 for purposes of social investigation. I mean, this is the main artery of American venality. Oh, Route 22 is just there, see? And so I drive along Route 22, and I stop at this diner, I figure, what the hell, I've been driving on Route 22. And I've been on the road now for 7 hours, and I've gone maybe a mile and a half. So it's time to knock off for a little coffee, see? So I struggle my way into this diner. And who the hell is behind the counter at the diner? She comes out there, and I order a cup of coffee. The guy next to me knocks the coffee, and it goes all over the counter, and she says, "Oh, stupid, here, let's take some of the Quicker Picker-Upper." And she starts rubbing around, and he says, "Hey, look at that stuff. Is that the Quicker Picker-Upper, Marge? Or is your name Madge? I forgot. I see you on TV all the time." She says, "Yes, why not? Brand X here. Watch. I'll do a little demonstration." And she takes 2 wads of this stuff, and she puts one in, she pours it in. Super, damn. Well, the entire diner was floored. There's this lady that works in the diner over there that spends all of her time giving little tests, for the Quicker Picker-Upper. So it's all hope is not lost. One of the bestsellers now available in the New York Times bestseller list? It's right down there. You'll see it in the Weekend Times book section there. It's the biography of Morris, the commercial cat. The home life of Morris, yes. Well, you know how he got into the big time, his first commercial, how nervous he was. Yes, I'm not kidding you. That's a whole new avenue of investigation for literary matters. Can't you see behind the scenes with the lady plumber, how she really lives? Where she gets her overalls. That whole crowd. Oh, God, it's happening, friends. It's really happening.